Hi friends, today I'm going to be spending the morning in the kitchen cooking up some muffins, some bread, some banana bread to keep us going for the week. Next week it's school holidays, so I'm going to need to have lots of snacks on hand to keep my kids happy. So follow along and I'll show you how I make all of these different baked goods. Before I do anything else, I need to get some flour milled for the bread and the muffins and the banana bread that I'm making later. The first thing that I'm making today is the banana bread, and that's because it takes a while to cook in the oven and I need to go and get my children from school later. So I follow very loosely a recipe that I got from a friend who I stayed with in St. Louis many years ago now when we went there on a choir trip. This was back in the day when I was directing a gospel choir, which I don't do anymore, I miss that. So we stayed with a lovely couple for several days, and Susan, the lady, made us banana bread and strawberry bread in the morning for breakfast. And this is her recipe that I adapted first of all to make it gluten and dairy free, and now simply dairy free because I'm using freshly milled einkorn flour. I'm getting together the wet ingredients while my flour is milling. So here we have 3 ripe bananas that I've mashed with a whisk, 1/3 cup of olive oil, 2/3 a cup of honey and 2 eggs, and I'm just whisking that all together. Now the wheat flour has finished milling and I can get started on making 2 loaves of bread. Now one of these loaves of bread is for us and the other is for my friend who gives us eggs in exchange for sourdough, which I think is a great bargain. I'm soaking the flour for probably 30 minutes to an hour. I find that this gives much better results when I'm making sourdough bread with freshly milled flour. Okay, so back to the banana bread. I have milled, I think I hope enough einkorn for the rest of my recipes. So it's already milled here and I'm just going to add the flour to my wet ingredients. 1 3/4 cups of flour, and you can make this with all-purpose flour or even with gluten-free flour. I've done that before too. Some salt, and I usually put in about 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Just pour it straight into a silicone mold, and that will bake in the oven for about an hour, or at least until I need to go and pick up the children from school. Now I'm on to making some sourdough blueberry muffins, and I'm using sourdough starter in this recipe so that I can leave the batter to ferment overnight and get some of those really great health benefits from the fermentation. So I do have a recipe for this over on the blog. It's not the one that I'm making here because while I was filming this I was still experimenting and trying to find the recipe that I really liked. So it has changed since I filmed this. I don't use any almond milk anymore because I don't always have it to hand, and I wanted a recipe that worked well without any kind of milk at all, so it was completely naturally dairy free. So if you're interested in getting that recipe, I'll leave a link for that in the description box below. So I'm going to put this in the fridge overnight so that the sourdough can work through all of the flour and it'll be more digestible tomorrow. And I will bake it tomorrow afternoon. Now that the flour and water have been soaking together for about an hour, I'm going to add some sourdough starter and some salt and get it all mixed together. Later on, I will add some grains and make this into a multi-grain bread. Now we're on to the last recipe for today, and that is strawberry muffins, which is a great recipe for spring. So I'm adapting a recipe that's over on the blog that's for gluten-free strawberry bread, and I'm going to be using einkorn flour, and I'm going to be adding some sourdough starter so that it can ferment overnight in the fridge and be even better for us. Now again, when I was recording this, I was recipe testing, and I have now come up with the recipe that I really like for strawberry muffins. So if you want to get that, it's over on the blog and I will link it in the description box below. These are so delicious. Moist muffins are full of strawberry flavour and just perfect for spring. This is going to go in the fridge overnight and I will bake it tomorrow afternoon. Now I got into a bit of a mess with all of that flour, so it's a quick clean up and then on to the next thing, which is my starter. So I milled way too much flour. That's fine because I can put it all in my starter and have a whole load of discard to use for recipes later in the week. Now multigrain bread has to be my favourite kind of sourdough. I love this recipe. Today I'm making it with freshly milled flour, but you can get the recipe for my normal multigrain bread, which is over on the blog. I'll link it in the description box below. I roast the grains before I add it to the bread because I find that brings out their flavours so much more. It gives them a toasted flavour and it's absolutely delicious. I've got chia seeds, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds and flax seeds in here. It's so good for you and it's absolutely my favourite kind of bread to have toasted with a slice of cheese. Throughout the day I'm doing stretch and folds, and then in the evening I'm going to shape it and put it in the fridge until it's ready to bake. So the banana bread is done and rather overdone. Unfortunately, you can see it's way too brown. But that didn't change the taste too much. We really enjoyed eating this, and I have one son in particular that just loves banana bread, so he was really happy. It's the next day and I'm getting ready to bake these muffins that have been fermenting for about 24 hours now. I'm going to bake them at the same time at 180 degrees fan in the oven for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. They're coming out of the fridge, so it might take more like 25 minutes, but I will check them with a skewer just to make sure that they're fully cooked before I bring them out of the oven. These loaves of bread have been in the fridge overnight, so they're really nicely fermented, and now I'm going to score them and bake them. To bake these, I preheat the oven as high as it will go, so that's 240 degrees Celsius in my oven. Then I put the bread in, turn the oven down to 230 degrees, add a pot of boiling water for extra steam. They will cook with the water in the oven for 20 minutes, and then I remove the water and continue baking for 10 more minutes. And they are beautiful loaves of bread, and the muffins were really good too. Thank you for joining me this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave me a comment, like and subscribe. I make videos like this every week on homemade food from scratch, allergy friendly meal ideas and lots of sourdough. See you next time. Bye.